You can take out your appeals cards. Time for the Yom Kippur appeal. First, let me say I'm honored to be able to chant the Yom Kippur morning Haftorah. It's one of my favorite parts of Yom Kippur, and that's not just because it speaks to all of the things that we still need to improve upon, even when we're here, fasting and davening in shul, like treating our laborers the right way. But also because, and what's striking is really it's one of the powerful moments during Yom Kippur services when we're confronted with the amazing joy of teshuvah and tzedakah. So the joy of throwing ourselves into our communities and supporting each other. Isaiah says, when we share our bread with the hungry, when we take the wretched poor into our homes, when we see the naked to clothe them and do not ignore our own kin, our light shall burst through like the dawn. Too often, Yom Kippur is tinged with feelings of guilt and obligation and even cynicism. Those are feelings cultivated in some of us from a young age. That kind of baggage surrounding Judaism and shul, and Yom Kippur in particular, is far too pervasive. The gnawing guilt about all the things we could be doing more or could be doing better. Now, I say all this cognizant that Yom Kippur appeals often seize on feelings of guilt and obligation and a little bit of cynicism too. Look, we've got them right where we want them. They're feeling guilty about stuff. Their blood sugar is starting to go down. They're all stressed about some book of life stuff. They're really gonna pay up now. But that's not the tone of this day, and it's not the tone of this community. So I'm gonna ask you to open your hearts to a little joy. In my first few months at Rodef, when my oldest daughter, who's now 8, was just 18 months and had just participated in one of Joel Friedlander's famous Tat Shabbat services, Joel and I may have been cleaning up some animal cracker detritus off the floor. And I turned to Joel and I said, "Hey Joel, why do you do this every week?" And I was prepared at the very least, and I remember this distinctly, I was prepared at the very least for a sigh. This was a guy who had just worn a toucan named Tefillah on his hand and been mobbed by a gang of toddlers for the 50th week in a row. And I wouldn't have begrudged Joel if he had exhibited a little bit of the veteran birthday party clown, who between sets, is out back with a red wig in one hand and a cigarette in the other, complaining about all the kids. But Joel said something absolutely amazing to me. He said, "It makes me so happy to be able to give this to our community." And I was struck by two things. First was Joel's joy, unmistakable, uncynical, and generous. And second was he said, our community. Joel became a rock star in the lives of our 3 toddlers. And I, at the time, had been at Rodef for less than a year. I was sure most people didn't even know our names. But it wasn't his community, it was our community. The Friedlanders are, as one of you put it to me recently, a treasure. But of course, if you look around, you'll see so many treasures. Week after week, you'll see meal trains for those in need or who are grieving. You'll see a thriving Hebrew school. You'll see multiple bumping minyanim happening under the same roof. You'll find the best Shabbat Kiddush this side of the Mississippi River. You'll find a thriving and connected Chazak community. You'll find active and impactful Rodef Tzedek, mental health and disability committees. You'll find the best Purim and Simchat Torah parties in town. You'll find a community whose deep commitment to Judaism has inspired powerful efforts to root out injustice and racism and the looming threat of climate change. You'll find one of the best exhibits around of thriving, committed, big tent conservative Judaism. you'll find a shared community of joy. You'll find a shul whose light is bursting out like the dawn. We should celebrate that joy. We live in a world where attention is currency, where social media algorithms know more about our brains than we do. In this context, it's easy to become cynical about human motivation. It's easy to assume that people are acting a certain way because of personal profit or laziness, or because they've been manipulated to act that way. But at this moment, our commitment to our community, to our Judaism, to this shul, reinforces that we haven't lost our agency. That even after working through a pandemic that forced us to be physically separate for a long time, when we could have lost this community forever or never come back the same, even though our lives are too hectic, even though we're pulled in too many directions, we can break through the noise. We can commit to each other and to this community with joy. If one of us can look down at a little stuffed toucan on his hand and not even feel an ounce of cynicism, then all of us can look around this room and think, wow, we're really doing something amazing. We must celebrate our commitment to the shared project of growing and building this special place. But we shouldn't for a second take our foot off the gas. Now's when we double down. We are relatively small. Every dollar makes a difference in creating this community, in keeping the lights on, and in attracting and retaining some of the best staff and clergy in the country, in maintaining our facilities and terrific security, in building out amazing educational opportunities and events. Contributions from congregants during the Yom Kippur appeal are a substantial part of our budgeted revenues. So I'm asking that you make a contribution today in an amount that's meaningful to you, whatever that may be. You received your appeals cards on the way in, and I believe that the ushers are in the back. We'll be walking around with baskets, so you can fold down one of these little pieces and drop it in the basket. Don't make contributions because we've got you here feeling guilty. Do it because of the amazing opportunity that you have to contribute to our community. I submit that you should do it with some joy. Now, before you make that commitment, I want to take 1 minute to talk a bit more about fundraising at Rodef. Those of you who came to the annual meeting in May, which was just slightly fewer than are in the room now, know that we've introduced a new push this year to educate people on the Colorado Child Care Contribution Credit, also called 5C. This is a powerful tax incentive that allows nonprofits like Rodef that provide childcare to receive certain donations with a 50% credit going back to the donor through their Colorado taxes. It's essentially a rebate from the state of Colorado, and you're eligible for it even if you don't, it's a credit, you're eligible for it even if you don't itemize your taxes. The credit is available to everyone, not just parents. Now, during the Yom Kippur appeal, any gift that's $360 or above is eligible for the credit. And you'll receive a form in January to submit with your taxes to receive the 5C credit. Those who do itemize their taxes can still deduct the other half of their gift. So if you fold down $360 or above, you get a credit, whether or not you itemize, you get a credit for half of that amount. The other big push, the other thing that we wanted to talk about that came up during the annual meeting was regarding our L'chaim membership. L'chaim members are foundational to the support of this congregation. We are now offering the child care contribution credit to all L'chaim members for the full amount of their membership contribution. So it basically means that if you double your membership, which would make you L'chaim, if you double your membership contribution, you get half of that back in a credit on your state taxes with no additional cost to you. You can double your dues, double your contribution to Rodef in the end without paying more. Now, I can't give you tax advice, clearly. Please consult a tax advisor, but I can tell you that I've heard from many of you that the 5C program has enabled you to increase your giving, to increase your impact in an amazing way. This year, my wife and I are becoming L'chaim members and doubling our dues to give to Rodef and to take advantage, to give more to Rodef and to take advantage of this incredible credit. If you're interested in discussing the L'chaim membership option and the 5C credit, you should fold down the Please Call tab on your card. Thank you so much for the joy you bring to our community every day. Thank you for the opportunity that I have to contribute to this community, which brings me tons of joy. Most importantly, thank you so much to the clergy and staff. One of the amazing things about being on the board or being president is you start to see how much work it takes to run this place. And I knew that the high holidays were lots of work. I should say it is multiple times the amount of work that I thought it was. It's really amazing. We're so lucky, and we appreciate all of you so much. Thank you. Wishing you a very sweet new year. Gemar Chatima Tova.